Dear students, today I am going to start a new systems, urinary systems, and I will complete the total system in 3 to 4 lectures. So, I am Professor Moinuddin Chishti. Before going to the disease process, I want to discuss about the short anatomic review. Each kidney consists of 1,000,000 of nephrons. So, nephron is the functional, morphological and functional units of kidney, and it consists of glomerulus, glomerular capsules, renal tubules and collecting ducts. So, most of the glomerulus are within the cortex, and medulla contains the loop of Henle and collecting ducts. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillary vessels and it is covered by capsules. So, the renal diseases are divided into 4 categories based on 4 basic anatomic components: diseases of the glomeruli, renal tubules, diseases of the interstitium and diseases of the blood vessels. So, most of the glomerular disease are immune complex mediated. Tubular and interstitial diseases are frequently caused by toxic or infectious agents. So, renal diseases clinically manifested by azotemia. What is azotemia? So, it can define as elevation of blood urea nitrogen and creatinine levels. Usually, it reflects the decreased GFR. And uremia. When azotemia gives rise to clinical manifestations and systemic biochemical abnormalities termed as uremia. So, azotemia plus clinical manifestations is called uremia. Then another terms we commonly use the acute nephritic syndromes. It is characterized by the followings: gross hematuria, mild to moderate proteinuria, hypertension and sometimes oliguria. Another symptoms is nephrotic symptoms. It is also very common and it is characterized by massive proteinuria, that means 3.5 gram per day, more than 3.5 gram per day in adults. Then we call massive proteinuria. Hypoalbuminemia, hyperlipidemia and lipiduria and accompanied by generalized edema. So, nephrotic syndrome is also very important to you, and sometimes we ask what are the difference between acute nephritic syndrome and nephrotic syndromes. Please do not confuse with the nephrotic syndrome with that of the acute nephritic syndrome. In acute nephritic syndrome is a gross hematuria and hypertension is present, but in nephrotic syndromes both these two important symptoms are absent. Then another is a clinical acute kidney injury, that means acute renal dysfunctions characterized by acute increase in serum creatinine levels associated with oliguria and sometimes anuria. And then chronic kidney disease, commonly known as CKD, and previously, or in other words, we can also say the chronic renal failure. And it is characterized by various metabolic and electrolyte abnormalities and metabolic acidosis. So you may ask, what is metabolic acidosis? It is a serious electrolyte disorder characterized by imbalance of the body's acid-base balance. And metabolic acidosis has three main root causes: increased acid production, loss of bicarbonate, and reduced ability of the kidney to excrete acids, excess acids. And then the last stage is end stage renal disease, where the loss of renal functions requiring dialysis or kidney transplantations, whatever may be the cause. So if want to classify the diseases of the kidney, then first, like the other diseases classifications, we say the congenital disorders. Congenital disease. Congenital disease of the kidney may be agenesis of the kidney, may be ectopic kidney, it may be hypoplasia, horseshoe-shaped kidney or pelvic kidney. So kidney may be in the pelvis. So another important, very important for you, the glomerular diseases. It is primary glomerular disease, it may be secondary, and sometimes there is a hereditary disorder also found. Among these, AGN, membranous nephropathy, minimal change disease, IgA nephropathy, rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis are very common. If you ask, the most common glomerular diseases among the primary, in case of adults, it is a membranous nephropathy. In case of children, more than 85% are minimal change disease. Then you may ask why it is called the minimal change disease. Its another name is lymphoid nephrosis. Minimal change disease because, like conventional light microscope, there is no changes are observed in the glomeruli. That's why it is called minimal change disease. But it is one of the major causes of nephrotic syndrome in case of children. And you should diagnose the minimal change disease because it has a tremendous prognosis, very good prognosis. Just only if we apply the adequate amount of steroids, then the patients may be cured. And then is the secondary glomerulopathies, SLE, diabetes mellitus, amyloidosis. And hereditary disorder of the glomerulus is the Alport syndromes. So first we tell the congenital disorder, then glomerular diseases, then we proceed for the tubular and interstitial diseases. Tubular diseases, acute tubular injury or necrosis, it has a very good prognosis. Pyelonephritis, chronic pyelonephritis, that means their kidney has already damaged. So chronic pyelonephritis sometimes is the indication of nephrectomy. And then drug-induced nephritis is also occurs. So tubular and interstitial diseases may occur due to urinary tract infections. And vascular diseases causes kidney lesions, benign nephrosclerosis, malignant hypertension, renal artery stenosis, and thrombotic angiomicropathies. Cystic disease of the kidney, the headlines is autosomal dominant disease, kidney occurs in case of adults and autosomal recessive in case of children. Both are polycystic kidney diseases. And cystic disease of the kidney is also very common, simple cyst. And another is also acquired cystic disease in case of dialysis induced patient, dialysis associated patients. Obstructive uropathy, urolithiasis, that is renal calculi stones. And another very important of kidney disease is the tumor of the kidney. You may also sometime ask, please say one or two benign tumor diseases, benign tumor of kidney. Papillary adenoma, angiolipoma, and sometimes it is also angiomyolipoma, renal fibroma, oncocytoma. These are benign tumors. Among the malignant, and it is very common, the renal cell carcinoma in adults. But in case of children, it is a Wilms tumor. In other words, we called it a nephroblastoma. And urothelial carcinoma of the renal pelvis is not uncommon. So, among the congenital anomalies, about 10% of the newborn have potentially significant malformations, and most are arise from the developmental defects rather than inherited genes. So, these are the agenesis of the kidney, horseshoe-shaped kidney, and hypoplasia, and cyst of the kidney are the congenital anomalies, the polycystic kidney diseases. Now we will focus about the glomerular diseases, and the subject is very important to know for your exam, for your personal use also. So, glomerulus are the tuft of capillaries networks covered by two layers of epithelium. Visceral epitheliums is the part of capillary wall, and the parietal epithelium encircle the Bowman's capsules, that is urinary space. And primary glomerulonephritis includes where the glomeruli are involved, and secondary glomerulonephritis associated with the systemic diseases. So, they classify your glomerular disease when you will ask acute proliferative glomerulonephritis. It may be post-streptococcal or non-streptococcals. So, it is very important because it has a very good prognosis. Rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis, membranous glomerulonephritis, it is very common in case of adults. More than 60% nephrotic syndrome is caused by the membranous glomerulopathy. Membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis is also common, and minimal change disease or lymphoid nephrosis is very common in case of children. Sometimes it becomes more than 80% cases. Another variety is IgA nephropathy, focal segmental glomerulopathies. And when we find that chronic glomerulonephritis, that means the future of that kidney is lost. So, chronic glomerulonephritis, that means the kidney failure, end-stage kidney disease. What are the systemic secondary cause? Diabetic nephropathy, systemic lupus erythematosus, amyloidosis, they are very common. So, if we go through the diagnosis, then few terms are very important to know. Histologic changes, hypercellularity of the glomeruli. How? Why? There is a proliferations, leukocytic infiltrations, and formation of the crescents. There is a basement membrane thickening, and hyalinization and sclerosis also occurs. Interglomerular thrombosis, and histologic changes can further divided into diffuse, global, focal, segmental, and mesangial regions. And sclerosis, that means hyalinization of the glomeruli, and sclerosis is invariably seen in chronic glomerulonephritis. I am showing you the normal glomeruli, what we usually see under the microscope. This is a handmade, this is the food process, and this is the podocytes. What happened in minimal change disease? There is effacement of these food processes, in case of, but this effacement by light microscopy we cannot see. We have to, it can be seen only with the help of electron microscopes. Electron microscope, the food processes. In case of minimal change disease, the loss of food processes. So pathogenesis, that is immune mechanisms. It may be antibody mediated injury, in situ complex deposition, circulating immune complex deposition, or cytotoxic antibodies. And it may also be the cell mediated injury, where activation of the alternate pathway of complement systems, non-immune mechanisms, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, deposition of amyloids, and sometimes drug causes injury. And circulating here, the circulating immune complex deposits in the subendothelial deposits, and sometimes the glomerular basement membranes, in situ anti-glomerular basement membrane antibody, that antibody antigen in the glomerular basement membrane and antibody form a complex. So depending upon the location of immune complex, diseases are classified as subepithelial hump, which is found in acute glomerulonephritis, epimembranous granular deposits, it is found in the membranous nephropathy, subendothelial deposits, it is found in the membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis and SLE, and intramembranous proliferation occurs in SLE and membranoproliferative GN, and mesangial deposits is found in IgA nephropathy and SLE. So in electron microscopy we can see the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, there is a subendothelial hump. In electron microscopy it looks like that. Acute proliferative glomerulonephritis, post-infectious, the glomerulars are hypercellular, leukocyte infiltration, mesangial and endothelial proliferations, sometimes form a crescents, and there is deposition of immune complex in the subepithelial, sometimes subepithelial hump, and it may also be subendothelial complex. Localization of the immune complex in the glomerular, you see, one is the subendothelial hump, 2 number এপিমেমব্রেনাস ডিপোজিটস, থার্ড হচ্ছে সাবএন্ডোথেলিয়াল ডিপোজিটস, অ্যান্ড ফোর্থ হচ্ছে মেসেঞ্জিয়াল ডিপোজিটস। Mesangial deposits. So the mesangial area, there is proliferation of the mesangial cells, and also increase in the mesangial matrix. So sometimes you may ask, what are the glomerular membranes? So the endothelial cells, glomerular basement membranes, and epithelial cells, that is podocytes. So all these the glomerular membranes through which pass the proteins or any others filter. And here I am showing you the membrane, dense deposit in the basement membranes. In the electron microscope, there is the dense deposit in the basement membranes, and you see the endothelial cells and the size of the mesangium. So there is increase in the mesangial cell and also in the mesangial matrix. Enlargements, enlarged electron microscopy. So the membranoproliferative genes, there are three types. Type 1, subendothelial deposits. Type 2, that is intramembranous deposit, and type 3 is subendothelial and subepithelial deposits. You see the normal glomerulus and membranonephropathies, that is such a membranous glomerulonephritis. So the membranes becomes thick. Not only the capillary membrane, glomerular membrane, it also causes the mesangial expansions and also the tubular membrane thickening also. You see the normals, thin wall, the tubules and glomerular capillaries, but here the membranous, thick wall in the glomerulus, at the center renal tubules, thick wall. So now here comes the diabetic nephropathy is an important cause. What happened? Basement membranes become thickening, both the glomerular and tubular, mesangial sclerosis, and sometimes there is a nodular KW nodules in case of diabetes mellitus, and arterial hyaline thickening also, no immune complex depositions in case of diabetic nephropathy. So in diabetic nephropathy you see the KW nodules, hyaline nodules is seen. See these hyaline nodules. In PAS stents there is the hyalinizations, you see the nodular glomerulosclerosis, and these are the KW nodules, and there is also thickened arterioles. Again PAS stents we see the increased mesangial matrix and also the thickened glomerular basement membrane and tubular basement membrane. These are nicely demonstrated. It also occurs in case of malignant hypertension. There is a renal arteriolar wall thickening like the onion skin, and there is a fibrinoid necrosis of the vessels wall are also seen. So you may ask, what are the glomerular symptoms? Again, acute nephritic syndrome characterized by mild to moderate proteinuria, massive hematuria, and sometimes found the red cell cast, hypertension, agitemia, oliguria. But in case of nephrotic syndrome, massive proteinuria, hyperlipidemia, generalized edema, lipiduria. So, rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis, acute nephritis, proteinuria and acute renal failures. Chronic renal failure and isolated urinary abnormalities. So, nephrotic syndrome, it can be characterized by again massive proteinuria, hyperlipidemia, lipiduria, generalized edema. I am telling several times the nephrotic syndrome because you invariably you will ask either nephrotic syndromes or acute nephritic syndromes. So, what are the causes of nephrotic syndrome? Primary glomerular disease, membranous nephropathy, minimal change disease, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis and IgA nephropathy. Systemic disease, diabetes mellitus, SLE, amyloidosis. Sometimes the heroin users, that is drugs, straight heroin users also developed the nephrotic syndromes. Hepatitis A and B also causes nephrotic syndromes. Most common cause of nephrotic syndrome in children is minimal change disease, more than 75%. Some book is written more than 80%. Most common cause of nephrotic syndrome in case of adult, membranous nephropathy and focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. In case of focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, the immune complex deposition, no immune complex deposition, but what happened? Podocyte first process, it may find effacements, but immunofluorescence you can find the complement 3 and IgM at the sclerotic sites. There is a portion of glomerulosclerosis and other parts are normals, and sometimes there is a increased mesangial matrix. So, massive proteinuria, why it occurs? Derangement in glomerular capillary wall, resulting in increased permeability to protein. So, due to heavy proteinuria leads to depletion of serum albumin, leading to hypoalbuminemia. Hyperlipidemia, increased synthesis of lipoprotein in the liver, abnormal transport of circulating lipid particles and decreased catabolisms. And generalized edema, loss of colloid osmotic pressures of the blood due to hypoalbuminemia, leading to the generalized edema. Nephritic syndrome, it is a glomerular syndrome characterized by characterized by mild to moderate proteinuria, characterized by oliguria and hypertensions and red cell cast, that is hematuria. It is also caused by acute proliferative glomerulonephritis, rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis and multisystem disease, that is SLE. So, management of nephrotic syndrome, steroid therapy and protein restrictions. Management of nephritic syndrome, fluid and electrolyte balance, protein restriction and penicillin therapy. So, the Types and critical presentation of glomerulonephritis. Acute proliferative glomerulonephritis and rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis leads to acute nephritic syndrome. And minimal change disease, membranous glomerulopathy, membranoproliferative glomerulopathy causes the nephrotic syndromes. And IgA nephropathy, a cause of hematuria or sometimes the nephritic syndromes. And chronic glomerulonephritis when you find that the renal failure. Dear student, today I am going to end this lecture. So you must know the acute nephritic syndrome, nephrotic syndrome, what are the difference and what are the main features or how you can characterize by these two symptoms. Today I am going to finish. Thank you to you all. And next class will be in continuation with this disease process. Thank you to you all.